Here's the truth most people never face. You are not stuck because life is hard. You are stuck because your mind has been trained to react instead of lead. Most people spend their lives trying to fix the outside first. Better timing, better luck, better people, better opportunities. And they wonder why nothing truly changes. Why the same problems keep returning under different names. The truth is uncomfortable but simple. Real success does not come from working harder. It comes from thinking better. And if your mind is scattered, emotional, or constantly rushed, it will sabotage you quietly, consistently, and without warning. This audiobook is not here to motivate you. It is here to rewire you. Not through hype, but through clarity, through structure, through the kind of thinking that holds up under pressure. You will learn how to stop reacting and start thinking deliberately. How to make fast, intelligent decisions without letting fear, noise, or emotion take control. How to cut distractions and build a mental foundation that does not collapse when life gets heavy. Because your mind is not just where thoughts appear. Your mind is a system. And whether you realize it or not, you are training it every day. Every thought you repeat strengthens a pathway. Your brain becomes efficient at whatever you practice most. Worry or discipline, doubt or focus, avoidance or execution. Over time, you stop choosing. You start defaulting. That is how people lose years of their life. Not through one big mistake, but through thousands of unchecked thoughts. But here is the shift. Your attention is power. Whatever you feed grows. Feed noise and chaos follows. Feed clarity and strength forms. This audiobook is your reset, not to feel better, but to take control. One thought. One decision. One disciplined move at a time. If you're ready to rise above the noise, like the video, it tells YouTube you're choosing awareness over autopilot. Subscribe now and don't miss the next chapter in your evolution. And remember, the deepest transformation belongs to those who stay until the very end. Chapter 1. Control what you think before it controls you. Everything begins here, not with what you say, not with what you hope, not with what you plan to do someday. It begins with what you think, quietly, daily, when nobody is watching you. Your thoughts are the foundation of every action you take, every decision you make, and every result you experience. If that foundation is unstable, nothing you build on top of it will last. If your thoughts are scattered, your life becomes scattered. If your thoughts are weak, your choices follow the same pattern. And if your thoughts lean negative, your entire day gets pulled into that direction before you even realize what happened. Most people wake up already behind, not because of their circumstances, but because their mind starts the day without direction. The truth is, you are always thinking. But thinking is not the same as leading your thoughts. Most people allow thoughts to appear, repeat, and dominate without question. They assume whatever shows up in their mind must be true. But thoughts are not facts. They are signals, and signals can be examined, redirected, or shut down. This is where control begins. Most people are being run by automatic thought loops: doubt, stress, regret, guilt, comparison, fear. These thoughts were never consciously chosen. They were practiced, repeated, reinforced over time. And repetition trains the mind. The brain becomes efficient at whatever it does most often. If it spends years rehearsing worry, it becomes excellent at worrying. If it practices hesitation, it becomes skilled at delaying. If it lives in distraction, it loses the ability to focus. You are not broken. You are conditioned. The first step to strategic thinking is awareness. You have to notice what is happening inside you before it turns into behavior. Catch the moment your mind drifts towards something that weakens you. When you start judging yourself, pause. When you begin comparing your progress to someone else's, stop. When fear enters and asks, "What if you fail? What if you are not enough?" That is the exact moment where leadership must replace reaction. Because if you do not speak to your thoughts, they will speak for you. Once a thought enters your system, it triggers emotion. Emotion triggers action. Action becomes habit. Habit shapes identity, and identity determines direction. This chain happens automatically, unless you interrupt it. That interruption is awareness. Awareness is the doorway between impulse and choice. This is not about pretending everything is positive. It is not about ignoring difficulty or pain. This is about being deliberate, strong, grounded, real. There is a difference between thinking clearly and letting your mind spiral. Most people do not know that difference, but once you do, everything shifts. You wake up calmer. You react less. You stop explaining yourself to people who do not matter. You stop wasting energy arguing with opinions that do not build your future. You become selective, and that selectiveness gives you power. Every challenge you have faced began as a thought. The fear, the hesitation, the delay. It was not the world stopping you. It was your mind convincing you to hold back. That is how subtle thought patterns are. They do not shout. They whisper. And if you do not question them, they lead your life quietly. That is why strategic thinkers do not allow any thought to live in their mind for free. They ask one question repeatedly. Is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it is hurting you, it does not deserve your attention. Replace it. Write something stronger, something clearer, something that moves you forward. Do not leave it to chance. Your attention is not neutral. Attention is energy. Whatever you focus on grows stronger in your nervous system. When you focus on fear, your body prepares for threat. When you focus on clarity, your body stabilizes. When you focus on purpose, your energy organizes itself. This is not imagination. This is alignment. The body follows the mind. The mind follows attention. If you do not control your thoughts, the world will do it for you. Opinions, trends, pressure, noise. You will start chasing goals you do not care about. You will say yes when you should say no. You will stay busy instead of effective, and you will call it normal. But when your thinking becomes your own, when you train yourself to stay clear under pressure, you stop living by reaction. You live by intention. You know where your energy goes. You know what matters. And most importantly, you know what does not. Control what you think before it controls you. This is not a slogan. It is a discipline. If you wake up and your mind is already racing, stop. Sit still. Ask yourself one question. What do I choose to think about today? That question alone can reset your entire direction. Because if you do not decide, your past will, your habits will, your emotions will. And that is how people stay stuck for years without understanding why. If you feel stuck right now, do not check your circumstances first. Check your thinking. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your future? What thoughts are you carrying into each day? Those thoughts shape your energy. That energy shapes your actions, and those actions determine your results. You can begin this work right now, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of doubt. That is when it matters most. Strategic thinking is not about always having answers. It is about having the discipline to think clearly when life feels unclear. Your mind is your most powerful tool, but only if you are the one in charge of it. And from this moment forward, you are. Chapter 2. Make your next move with full mental awareness. Every move you make is shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. Not just the big decisions, but the small ones. The words you choose, the way you respond, what you give your time to, what you avoid. Life is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in ordinary moments, when nobody is watching, and those moments are only as powerful as your awareness in them. When your mind is unclear, distracted, tired, or emotionally charged, you make choices that cost you progress. You act on impulse instead of strategy. You respond from emotion instead of clarity. And when that pattern repeats long enough, it leads to regret, frustration, and the feeling of being stuck in the same cycle. Mental awareness is what breaks that cycle. Awareness is not overthinking. It is presence. It is the ability to notice what you are doing and why you are doing it before the action locks in. Most people are not aware they are even making choices. They are on autopilot. They repeat habits from yesterday. They fall back into routines that no longer serve them. They say yes when they should say no. They give energy to things that drain them. And when nothing changes, they call it bad luck. But nothing changes because they never paused. There is power in a pause. Not to doubt yourself, not to hesitate out of fear, but to become clear. To see the moment for what it is, not for what emotion is shouting, not for what pressure demands, not for what other people expect. Strategic thinkers pause just long enough to ask one question. Is this the right move for where I am going? That question alone changes everything. Awareness is your defense against wasting time, energy, and momentum. When you have it, you see patterns forming before they trap you. When you lack it, you repeat the same mistakes and call it fate. Pressure will always try to rush you. Fear will always try to push you into quick relief. But moving fast does not mean moving right. Being busy does not mean being effective. You can train awareness. It is not something you are born with. It is a muscle. You start by paying attention to yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your body, your stress, your boredom, your need to prove something, the way your voice changes when you feel unsure, the way you distract yourself when things get uncomfortable. All of it matters. Because the more you notice, the more control you gain. And control changes how you move through life. Throughout the day, ask better questions. Not just what do I want, but why do I want it right now? Not just should I do this, but does this move align with where I am going? These questions slow your mind down long enough for truth to surface. They separate impulse from intention. One of the most powerful questions you can ask is this: what part of this decision comes from pressure, and what part comes from clarity? Pressure wants speed. Clarity wants accuracy. Pressure wants relief. Clarity wants direction. Strategic thinkers learn to recognize the difference. Your nervous system plays a role here. When you feel rushed or threatened, your body shifts into reaction mode. Awareness brings you back into regulation. It grounds you. It gives your mind access to logic again. That is why the pause matters. It resets your internal state before you choose. There are moments where one wrong move can cost you weeks. One emotional response can damage trust. One unnecessary yes can destroy focus. Awareness gives you time to see that before it happens. Over time, these small moments of awareness add up. They create a version of you that makes better decisions consistently, not occasionally. Imagine how different your life would look if your next 10 decisions came from full mental clarity. If you knew exactly why you were doing what you were doing. If you stopped letting pressure choose for you. That level of discipline is rare, but it is trainable. You do not have to live on repeat. You do not have to respond the way you always have. You can become someone who thinks before moving and wins because of it. This applies to everything: work, relationships, money, communication. If your next move comes from emotion, you stay trapped in the same loop. If it comes from awareness, you build momentum. That is the difference between starting over and building something that lasts. Strategic thinking is not about slowing down forever. It is about pausing long enough to choose the move that gives you the highest return. Anyone can act. Few can act with clarity. That is where the advantage is. Every challenge will try to rush you. Every fear will push you to act now. Awareness will tell you the truth. Sometimes the smartest move is to wait. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. Sometimes the pressure is just noise. Your next move matters. Treat it like it does. Think before you act. Choose with awareness. And move like someone who knows where they are going. Chapter 3. Stop guessing and start thinking like a builder. Most people are guessing their way through life. They wake up each day reacting to whatever shows up, trying to figure things out in real time, hoping something eventually works. There is no structure, no long-term direction, no clear sequence. And because of that, the same problems keep repeating in different forms. Guessing feels active, but it produces nothing solid. You do not move forward by guessing. You move forward by building. And building requires a different way of thinking. A builder does not show up hoping things turn out well. A builder starts with a plan, with clarity, with an understanding of sequence. A builder looks ahead and asks what comes first, what comes next, what could go wrong, and how to adjust without losing momentum. When you think like a builder, your entire relationship with time and energy changes. A builder does not gamble with effort. They do not pour energy into random actions hoping one of them pays off. They know what they are constructing, why it matters, and what supports the structure. Without that mindset, life becomes a series of false starts. You begin things with excitement. You stop when it gets uncomfortable. You restart something new. And you call that learning, when in reality, it is avoidance. A scattered mind creates a scattered life. If you are not intentionally building something, you are reacting to whatever hits you next. That is why so many people feel busy, but see no progress. They scroll, they respond, they rush. They fix surface problems, but they never build a foundation. And without a foundation, nothing holds. Builders think long-term. They are not obsessed with shortcuts. They do not chase what is easy. They stay focused on the outcome and adjust the steps until the structure becomes stable. They understand that patience is part of progress, but patience without structure turns into waiting, and waiting too long turns into regret. To think like a builder, you must change how you treat your days. Time does not reward activity. Time rewards structure. If your days are unplanned, your weeks will not improve. If your weeks lack direction, your life stays exactly where it is. Ask yourself one honest question. What am I building with the actions I am taking today? If the answer is unclear, then nothing real is being built yet. And that is not a failure. That is awareness. Awareness gives you the chance to change direction. Building begins with ownership. Builders do not blame. They do not wait. They do not need motivation to show up. They follow structure. They know what matters most, and they focus on it, even when it feels boring, repetitive, or difficult. That is where most people fall off. Not because the work is too hard, but because it is not exciting enough. Structure removes that problem. When you have structure, you do not need to negotiate with yourself every day. You know what to work on. You know what comes next. You know what deserves your energy. That clarity protects your discipline when life gets messy. And life will get messy. Thinking like a builder means you stop acting based on urgency and start acting based on alignment. You ask different questions. Does this fit the structure I am committed to? Does this move strengthen what I am building or distract from it? That mindset changes how you prioritize. You say no more often. You stop following your mood. You follow your blueprint. That blueprint does not need to be complex. It just needs to be real. Your goals, your standards, your daily focus. Without it, everything feels random. And when life feels random, motivation disappears quickly. One reason people stay stuck is because they try to make daily decisions without any larger framework. They wake up guessing what they should focus on. They take random advice. They jump between ideas. They get excited. Then they stop. Then they blame themselves. But the problem was never effort. It was the absence of a foundation. Builders do not constantly start over. They refine. They adjust. They repeat the right actions in the right order until something holds. They build systems, not cages. Systems that support growth. Systems that reduce stress. Systems that guide them when energy is low. This is how you protect mental clarity. When pressure hits, people who built systems keep moving. People who relied on guesswork collapse. Start with your daily routine. What part of your day is helping you build something meaningful? If you cannot answer that, nothing has been built yet. And that is your signal to change. A strong day does not mean doing everything. It means knowing your top priorities and committing to them no matter what. It means organizing your time so your mind does not scramble. It means removing habits that drain you and replacing them with routines that create momentum. Builders track progress. They do not wait for results to surprise them. They measure what matters. They look at what is working and what is not. They make small adjustments and keep going. They understand that fast wins do not solve long-term problems. Structure comes first, then consistency. This way of thinking may feel unnatural at first. Most people are trained to react, not build. They jump between problems instead of solving them step by step. They stay busy instead of being strategic. But once you adopt the builder mindset, something shifts. You feel less overwhelmed. You doubt yourself less. You know what to work on and what to let go of. Every day becomes a brick. Every decision becomes a layer. Every hour becomes an investment. And over time, you build something real, something solid that does not fall apart when pressure hits. You were not meant to guess your way through life. You were meant to build it deliberately, one move at a time, one habit at a time, one decision at a time. Stop hoping things work out. Start creating the structure that makes results inevitable. That is how builders win, where guessers quit. Chapter 4. Question every habit that's keeping you average. Your habits are either lifting you higher or quietly locking you in place. There is no neutral ground. Most people never stop to examine their daily behavior. They repeat the same routines, the same distractions, the same excuses, even when those patterns are clearly not working. And then they wonder why their life feels stalled. Average is not an accident. It is built slowly, comfortably, and without resistance. Average shows up in the small things that feel harmless. Sleeping a little longer so you do not have to face the day. Scrolling instead of building. Delaying decisions because pressure feels uncomfortable. saying yes to things you do not care about, putting off the work that matters most. None of these feel dangerous in the moment, but repeated daily, they shape your direction. Habits become invisible when they are not questioned. That is why you must question them. You have to be honest with yourself. Not harsh. Honest. Ask yourself what you are doing every day that is quietly keeping you from becoming more. Look at how you spend your time. Notice what drains your energy. Pay attention to the things you promise yourself you will do, and then avoid. These are not small details. These are signals. Just because something feels normal does not mean it is useful. Just because you have done something for years does not mean it still belongs in your life. Comfort is familiar. Growth is demanding. And you cannot have both at the same time. If you want to rise, something has to change. Every habit should serve a purpose. If it does not, it is costing you more than you realize. Put your habits under the microscope and ask 3 questions. Why am I doing this? What is it giving me? What is it costing me? And then ask the most important question of all. Does this habit belong to my future, or is it tied to my past? Once you shine a light on a weak habit, you can no longer pretend you do not see it. Awareness removes denial, and denial is where average hides. The reason many people stay average is not because they lack ability. It is because change feels uncomfortable. There is safety in the familiar. There is comfort in repeating what you know, even if it does not work. But comfort is not strength, and safety is not success. You cannot become someone new while protecting who you have always been. Some habits must go. Some routines must be replaced. And yes, that process feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort is not a threat. It is a signal that discipline is being built. Discipline is what allows you to choose long-term growth over short-term relief. Pay attention to how average shows up in your life. It appears in how you talk to yourself, in how you react when things do not go your way, in how you spend your evenings, in how quickly you distract yourself instead of facing what needs to be done. These moments decide your future more than any big goal ever will. Changing habits is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently. You do not need a packed schedule. You need a clean one. Remove the noise. Remove the time wasters. Remove the habits that do not support the life you say you want. Then rebuild intentionally. Start small, but be serious. Choose one habit you know is holding you back. Replace it with something that adds value. Track it. Commit to it. Watch how it feels after a week. Then move to the next. This is how real transformation happens. Not through sudden motivation, but through steady, deliberate change. What you tolerate becomes your standard. If you tolerate habits that keep you average, your life will reflect that standard. But when you raise your standards, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself again. You feel proud of how you are living, and that trust gives you momentum. This is not about being extreme. It is about being clear. If you say you want better, your habits must support that claim. You cannot build a strong life with weak patterns. Once you accept that, excuses lose their power. So question everything. Question how you start your day. Question what you consume. Question how you spend your downtime. Nothing is off limits. Because the more you question, the more awareness you build. And awareness is the doorway to control. Control leads to stronger habits. Stronger habits lead to better outcomes. And better outcomes create a life that feels aligned with who you really are. Now is the time to clean house. Be honest. Remove what is holding you back. Build habits that match the future you want, not the comfort you have been stuck in. Question every habit that is keeping you average. Your future depends on it. Chapter 5. Decide fast what matters and cut the rest. Most people do not fall behind because they are incapable. They fall behind because they take too long to decide what actually matters. Their days are full, but their progress is empty. Their time is eaten by distractions, noise, and obligations that feel urgent, but lead nowhere. And the longer you delay deciding what is essential, the more energy you waste. Clarity creates momentum. Confusion drains it. When you live without clear priorities, everything feels important. Every message demands attention. Every request feels like it deserves your time. You move from task to task, feeling busy, but at the end of the day, nothing meaningful is built. That is not a time problem. It is a decision problem. Strong people are decisive, not because they know everything, but because they know enough to move forward. They choose fast, commit fully, and remove anything that does not support their direction. They are not trying to do everything. They are focused on doing what works. The ability to decide quickly is a skill. And like any skill, it improves with practice. Indecision feels safe because it avoids responsibility. But every moment spent hesitating is a moment your future moves further away. Cutting what does not matter is not about becoming cold. It is about respecting your life. Your time is limited. Your energy is limited. Your focus is limited. Treat it like it matters. If something does not align with your goals, it does not belong in your day. It does not matter how interesting it looks or how many people are doing it. Growth requires subtraction as much as it requires effort. Remove what drains you. Remove what distracts you. Remove what slows you down. Then direct all of your energy toward what remains. Mental clutter creates hesitation. Hesitation creates delay. Delay creates regret. When your mind is full of unnecessary inputs, decision-making becomes heavy. But when you simplify your priorities, decisions become easier. You stop overthinking. You stop second-guessing. You move with confidence. The world is constantly fighting for your attention. Trends, opinions, messages, noise. If you do not take control of your focus, you will live someone else's agenda. You will look up one day and realize you spent years working on things that never mattered to you. Deciding fast does not mean rushing. It means being clear enough to move forward without dragging your feet. Ask yourself one simple question at the start of each day. What are the 3 things that deserve my full attention today? If something does not make that list, it should not receive your best energy. You do not need to explain your priorities to everyone. You do not need approval to change your focus. You need honesty. Look at your life and ask what is adding nothing to your growth. What conversations drain you? What habits keep you busy but stuck? What goals no longer inspire you? Letting go will feel uncomfortable. Familiar patterns always resist being removed. But your future does not need familiarity. It needs clarity. When you cut the rest, something surprising happens. You feel lighter, stronger, more in control. Your energy increases because it is no longer scattered. Your days become more productive because your attention is no longer divided. Greatness comes from focus, from knowing exactly what your next step is and protecting it fiercely, from saying no without guilt, from choosing alignment over popularity. Do not wait for stress to force a decision. Choose now while you still have space to build intentionally. Every day you delay is a day you could have been moving forward. Every hour you waste is energy you never get back. Decide what matters, cut the rest, and move like someone who understands that progress belongs to those who choose clarity over comfort. Chapter 6. Think through problems before you feel stuck again. Most people do not get stuck because life is too hard. They get stuck because they keep walking into the same problems without thinking them through. They repeat the same reactions, make the same decisions, and then wonder why nothing changes. The frustration builds, not because the problem is unsolvable, but because it was never examined. Getting stuck is predictable. When you do not think ahead, you act on impulse. You rush. You say yes too quickly. You try to fix everything at once. And when the pressure returns, you feel trapped again. This cycle has nothing to do with laziness. It has everything to do with untrained thinking. The difference between people who stay stuck and people who move forward is simple. One reacts, the other thinks. You cannot keep solving surface problems and call it progress. You have to identify why the problem keeps appearing in the first place. That requires stepping back, slowing down, asking questions most people avoid. What did I ignore? What pattern keeps repeating? What part did I play in creating this situation? Fast relief is tempting, but relief is not the same as resolution. If you want progress, you must be willing to sit with discomfort long enough to understand it. Problems often carry information, and if you rush past that information, the lesson will return in a different form. Thinking through a problem is not overthinking. It is clarity. It is the ability to slow your mind enough to see the full picture before acting. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to be prepared. Pressure narrows perception. Calm expands it. When you feel rushed, that is your signal to pause. When something feels off, that is your signal to reflect. Strategic thinkers use pressure as a cue to think, not panic. Ask better questions. What is the root of this issue? What choice led here? What can I change next time? These questions are not comfortable, but they are powerful. They turn frustration into information. Every repeated problem has a pattern. It might be rushing decisions, avoiding conflict, ignoring warning signs, staying comfortable when change is required. Until you identify the pattern, the problem will keep returning. You do not need to fix your entire life at once. Solve one issue correctly. Focus fully, then move on. Strategic thinking is not about winning in one move. It is about winning through precision and consistency. If something keeps showing up in your life, it is not an accident. There is something you have not learned yet. Thinking through problems is how you extract that lesson. It is how you stop repeating the same mistakes with different names. Before making a decision, ask what might go wrong. What will this cost me if it fails? What is the backup plan? These are not fear-based questions. They are strategic. They widen your view and protect you from blind spots. Strong people do not rush into challenges. They prepare. They observe. They write things down. They reset their thinking before acting. This is how they stay calm under pressure. Calm is not the absence of difficulty. It is the presence of clarity. Rushing does not make you brave. It makes you vulnerable. Reacting does not make you strong. It makes you predictable. Strength comes from your ability to think ahead and respond with intention. Build the habit of reflection. Take 5 minutes before major decisions, not to doubt yourself, but to see clearly. That small discipline can save you months of frustration. Confidence grows when you stop guessing. When you think through problems, you trust yourself more. You stop cleaning up the same messes. You move with purpose. If you feel stuck, do not ask why life is against you. Ask what your thinking is trying to teach you. Problems are not walls. They are puzzles, and puzzles are solved by thinking, not force. Think through problems before they trap you again. That is how you break cycles. That is how progress becomes permanent. Chapter 7. Choose your battles with a calm, focused mind. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every problem needs your response. Not every comment requires your energy. One of the fastest ways to lose direction in life is to let everything pull you into reaction. When you fight every battle, you weaken yourself. When you choose wisely, you grow stronger. There is a critical difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is emotional, immediate, and often regrettable. Response is calm, intentional, and controlled. Reaction gives power away. Response keeps power with you. Most people confuse calm with weakness. They think silence means surrender. They think walking away means losing. But calm is not passive. Calm is disciplined. Calm means your emotions do not control your behavior. Calm means you decide when and where your energy is used. Every unnecessary battle costs you something: time, focus, mental clarity, momentum. And these are resources you cannot afford to waste if you are building something meaningful. You cannot create a strong future while constantly cleaning up emotional messes from the present. Some conflicts exist only to distract you. Some arguments are invitations into chaos. Some people want your reaction more than they want resolution. If you do not recognize this, you will spend your life trying to win moments that do nothing for your future. Strategic thinkers pause before engaging. They do not speak just to release emotion. They do not act just to prove a point. They step back and ask, is this worth my energy? Will this move me forward? Or will it pull me into noise? Most of the time, the honest answer is that it is not worth it. Walking away is often the strongest move you can make. Silence, when chosen deliberately, protects your focus. It keeps your inner world stable, and stability is what allows progress to compound. Choosing your battles does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means knowing where responsibility actually belongs. Some things deserve your voice, your values, your boundaries, your long-term direction. Those battles matter, and when you choose them, you engage fully, calm, clear, and controlled. When you speak, speak with intention. When you act, act with purpose. Do not let anger decide for you. Do not let pride pull you into unnecessary conflict. Emotional reactions feel powerful in the moment, but they leave you drained afterward. Your mind cannot stay sharp if it is constantly reacting. You cannot think clearly if your attention is always pulled outward. Your goals need space. Your discipline needs peace. And your future depends on your ability to protect both. Some people never reach their potential, not because they lack ability, but because they waste too much energy on emotional battles that do not serve their mission. Their days are full, but their direction is empty. Their mind is busy, but never clear. Start protecting your mental space like it is valuable, because it is. Learn to pause when something triggers you. Do not respond immediately. Do not post immediately. Do not confront immediately. Take a breath. Step back. Ask yourself what you are really trying to protect. Often, what you are protecting is not your future. It is your ego. And ego-driven battles always cost more than they give. Calm focus is a trained skill. You build it by choosing silence when it would be easier to react, by letting go when you want to argue, by staying grounded when someone tries to pull you into their emotional state. Over time, this control becomes strength. You do not need to fight to prove your worth. Your progress will speak for you. Your results will be louder than any argument you could ever win. Choose your battles carefully. Let go of what does not serve you. Engage only where it matters, and do it with a calm, focused mind. That is how you stay powerful, while others stay distracted. Chapter 8. Sharpen your decisions by tracking what's real. Most people make decisions based on what they feel, what they assume, or what they hope will work out. But strong decisions are not built on guesswork. They are built on reality. If you are not tracking what is real, you are reacting to an illusion. Your mind is excellent at creating stories. It will tell you that you are trying hard enough, that things are improving, that a habit is not really a problem, that tomorrow will be different. But without evidence, those stories mean nothing. Progress does not respond to intention. It responds to behavior. If you want better results, you have to stop making decisions based on emotion and start measuring what is actually happening. Where is your time going? What actions are repeated daily? What habits are producing results? What habits are draining you? These are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary. Reality does not lie. Most people avoid tracking because it removes excuses. When you track what you do, not what you plan to do, patterns become visible. You see where effort is consistent and where it disappears. You see what works and what does not. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Strong decisions come from patterns, not promises. Tracking is not about judgment. It is about accuracy. It is data. Data gives you clarity. Clarity gives you power. Without it, you stay stuck in emotional cycles, constantly reacting to how you feel instead of responding to what is real. You do not need complex systems. 5 to 10 minutes a day is enough. Write down what you did, what moved you forward, what slowed you down, what you committed to and followed through on, what you avoided. These small details tell the truth. When you track consistently, you build a feedback loop. Your mind starts to adjust naturally. You stop repeating behaviors that produce no results. You double down on what works. You stop guessing. You stop hoping. You start knowing. Every strong builder tracks progress. If your finances are struggling, track spending. If your health is slipping, track habits. If your focus is weak, track attention. Not to shame yourself, but to sharpen yourself. When your decisions are grounded in reality, they become faster. You hesitate less. You second-guess less. You move with confidence because you know why you are choosing what you are choosing. Tracking also trains discipline. Excuses lose their power when facts are visible. You cannot claim progress without evidence. And while that honesty can sting at first, it is the kind of discomfort that creates strength. Most people want to feel better before they do better. But the truth is, when you start tracking what is real, improvement follows naturally. Clarity replaces confusion. Focus replaces stress. Intentional action replaces wasted effort. You cannot fix what you refuse to look at. You cannot lead yourself if you do not know where you are. Tracking anchors your growth in truth. Reality is your compass. Use it. Measure what matters. Let facts guide your next move. When you do, your decisions become sharper, your confidence becomes grounded, and your progress becomes undeniable. Track what is real, adjust accordingly, and move forward without illusion. Chapter 9. Lead your life like no one is coming to help. There is a moment in life when something clicks, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. It is the moment you realize that no one is coming to fix things for you. No one is going to organize your habits, sharpen your thinking, protect your time, or carry you through the difficult seasons. People may care, They may support you. They may offer advice. But the responsibility for your life will never belong to anyone else. And the sooner you accept that, the stronger you become. Leading your life like no one is coming to help is not about becoming cold or isolated. It is about ownership. It is about waking up each day and asking yourself, if no one saves me, what do I do next? That question pulls you out of waiting mode. It removes the illusion that someone else will eventually notice your struggle and hand you a solution. They will not. Not because they do not care, but because everyone is busy carrying their own weight. The trap many people fall into is waiting. Waiting for the right mentor. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for clarity to arrive from the outside. While they wait, time moves, days pass, potential fades, and life stays on hold. Leadership begins the moment waiting ends. There is a difference between support and dependence. Support strengthens you. Dependence weakens you. When you need someone else to push you, remind you, or rescue you, your progress becomes fragile. But when you lead yourself, your progress becomes stable. Leading yourself means doing the hard things without applause. It means following through when no one is watching. It means keeping promises to yourself, even when breaking them would be easier. You become your own accountability system. No one wakes you up early. No one stops you from wasting time. No one forces you to think clearly or act with discipline. That responsibility has always been yours. And when you fully accept that, something powerful happens. Your energy shifts. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop waiting for permission. You stop outsourcing responsibility for your future. You realize that control has been available to you the entire time. You just had not claimed it. This level of ownership feels heavy at first, but it is not pressure. It is freedom. When you stop expecting someone else to carry you, you stop feeling disappointed. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling helpless. You start acting. Leading your life does not mean you never struggle. It means you never wait to be rescued. Some days will feel slow. Some days will feel lonely. Some days you will question whether the path is working. Those are not signs to quit. Those are moments that reveal who is in charge. Strong people lead hardest on the days when motivation is gone. Ask yourself one honest question. If no one changes anything for me, what must I change today? That question cuts through excuses. It turns confusion into action. It forces clarity. You do not need permission to get serious. You do not need approval to raise your standards. You do not need someone standing over you to do what matters. The people who go far in life are not the ones who were saved. They are the ones who decided to stand up on their own. When you lead yourself, your standards rise. You stop tolerating sloppy thinking. You remove habits that waste time. You replace comfort with structure. You stop needing someone else to convince you to stay focused. And when you fall, and you will, you do not wait to be picked up. You get up. You adjust. You keep moving. No one is as invested in your outcome as you are. Not your friends. Not your co-workers. Not your audience. You are the one who lives with your thoughts. You are the one who carries your choices. You are the one who experiences the results. So stop outsourcing your progress. Lead your life like no one is coming to help. Not out of pride, out of power. Because once you learn to lead yourself, nothing and no one can take that from you. Chapter 10. Commit daily to the mindset that wins long-term. Every single day, your mindset is either moving you forward or quietly pulling you backward. There is no pause button. There is no neutral setting. The way you think today shapes the direction of tomorrow, and the way you think consistently determines how far you go over time. Most people do not lose because of one bad decision. They lose because they allow the wrong mindset to take over slowly. Doubt creeps in. Distractions feel more important than discipline. Short-term comfort replaces long-term thinking, and without realizing it, they drift away from the future they once wanted. Winning long-term requires commitment, not to motivation, not to emotion, to mindset. Mindset is not positive thinking. It is not repeating phrases to feel better. It is structure. It is clarity. It is discipline applied to thought. It is the ability to think clearly, even when results are slow, when progress feels invisible, and when life tests your patience. A long-term mindset shows up every day, not just when things are going well. Most people allow their thinking to be shaped by circumstances. If the day goes well, they feel strong. If something goes wrong, they spiral. That kind of mindset is unstable, and unstable thinking cannot sustain growth. You have to become someone whose thinking stays grounded, regardless of conditions. That starts at the beginning of your day. You cannot leave your mindset to chance. You cannot wake up and let the world decide how you feel. You must lead first. Decide what you will focus on. Remind yourself what matters. Anchor your thinking before noise enters your mind. This daily commitment is what separates people who build momentum from people who start over repeatedly. The winners are not more inspired. They are more consistent. Honesty is part of this commitment. You cannot build a strong mindset while lying to yourself. You cannot claim discipline if you only show up when it is easy. Self-respect grows when your actions match your standards, and self-respect strengthens mindset more than motivation ever could. A winning mindset is trained on hard days, on the days when you want to quit, on the days when effort feels pointless, on the days when progress feels unfairly slow. Those are the moments that matter most. What you do in those moments shapes who you become. Protect your mindset. Be selective about what you allow into your mind. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves space. Your environment matters. Your inputs matter. Clarity cannot survive constant noise. Commitment does not mean perfection. It means you return to discipline quickly. You adjust without abandoning the process. You stay loyal to your long-term direction, even when short-term emotions try to pull you off course. Anyone can stay focused for a week. Few can stay focused for a year. Fewer still can stay focused for a lifetime. But those who do are the ones who build lives that do not collapse under pressure. Winning long-term is not about intensity. It is about consistency. Small, disciplined choices repeated daily create strength that cannot be shaken. Commit to the mindset that wins for life. Show up even when you do not feel like it. Think clearly even when emotions rise. Act with intention even when results lag behind effort. This is how you stop starting over. This is how you build something that lasts. This is how you win, not once, but continuously. Chapter 11. Stop living on autopilot and reclaim your attention. Autopilot is the silent thief of potential. It does not announce itself. It does not create chaos overnight. It slowly drains years from your life while making everything feel normal. You wake up, repeat the same routines, react to the same triggers, scroll the same feeds, have the same conversations, and wonder why time is moving fast, but progress feels slow. Autopilot feels comfortable. That is why it is dangerous. When you live on autopilot, you are not choosing your life. You are defaulting into it. Your habits decide for you. Your past decides for you. Your environment decides for you. And the longer this goes unchecked, the harder it becomes to remember that you ever had a choice. Reclaiming your attention is how you take control back. Attention is not just focus, it is direction. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. Wherever your energy goes, your life begins to organize itself around that point. If your attention is constantly scattered, your life will reflect that chaos. If your attention is hijacked by noise, urgency, and distraction, your progress will always feel fragile. Most people give away their attention without realizing it. Notifications, opinions, drama, comparison, endless information with no application. None of it feels heavy in the moment, but together, it fragments the mind. And a fragmented mind cannot build anything meaningful. Autopilot thinking removes intention. You stop asking why. Why am I doing this? Why am I spending time here? Why am I responding this way? Without those questions, patterns repeat automatically, and repetition without awareness becomes a prison. The way out is simple, but not easy. You interrupt the pattern. You start checking in with yourself throughout the day. Not obsessively, intentionally. Ask, what am I focused on right now? Is this moving me forward or pulling me sideways? That single moment of awareness pulls you out of autopilot and puts you back in the driver's seat. Your brain is designed to conserve energy. Autopilot is efficient. But efficiency without direction leads nowhere. Strategic thinkers use awareness to override default behavior. They do not fight their mind. They guide it. Every time you notice a distraction and choose not to follow it, you strengthen your attention. Every time you resist unnecessary stimulation, you rebuild mental endurance. Over time, your mind becomes quieter, sharper, more responsive to intention instead of impulse. Reclaiming attention also means reducing inputs. You cannot think clearly if your mind is constantly being filled. Silence is not empty. Silence is restorative. Stillness allows clarity to surface. This is where insight lives. When you reclaim your attention, your emotional state stabilizes. You stop reacting as much. You feel less rushed. You make decisions with more confidence because your mind is no longer overloaded. Autopilot keeps you busy. Awareness makes you effective. Your life will only change when your attention does. Decide where it belongs. Protect it. Train it. And stop letting unconscious patterns decide your future for you. Chapter 12. Build a reset routine for chaos and pressure. Pressure is not the enemy. Chaos is not the problem. The real danger is facing both without a way to reset your mind. Most people break down, not because life becomes overwhelming, but because they do not know how to stabilize themselves when intensity rises. They let urgency hijack their thinking. They let stress dictate their behavior. And once that happens, clarity disappears. You need a reset routine. A reset routine is not about escaping responsibility. It is about returning to control. When pressure hits, your nervous system shifts into reaction mode. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your thoughts speed up. Your perception narrows. If you do not interrupt this state, you will make decisions based on fear instead of direction. Strong thinkers know how to reset before they respond. A reset does not take an hour. It does not require perfect conditions. It requires intention, a few minutes of stillness, a conscious breath, a pause that tells your system, I am not in danger. I am thinking. The first step in any reset is stopping movement. When your body slows down, your mind follows. Sit still. Stand still. Even a brief pause changes the internal signal. Then bring your attention to your breath. not to relax, to anchor. Breathing is the fastest way to bring your system back into regulation. Once your body settles, your mind regains access to logic. Now ask one grounding question. What is the next clear move? Not the entire solution, not the perfect plan, just the next move that matters. Chaos feels overwhelming because people try to solve everything at once. Strategic thinkers narrow their focus until clarity returns. Reset routines work because they interrupt momentum. Stress builds speed. Speed creates mistakes. Resetting slows the system just enough to restore precision. This is not weakness. This is discipline. When you build a reset routine, you stop carrying chaos from one moment into the next. You stop stacking stress. You stop letting one problem bleed into every decision that follows. You regain separation between events and identity. Pressure is temporary. Panic is optional. Over time, this routine becomes automatic. Your mind learns that intensity does not require collapse. It requires presence. You begin to trust yourself under pressure because you know how to bring yourself back to center. A calm mind does not mean a passive mind. It means a controlled one. And control is what allows you to move forward when others freeze or spiral. Build your reset routine now, before you need it. Practice it when things are calm, so it is available when things are not. This is how you stay grounded in chaos. This is how you remain effective under pressure. Chapter 13. Design your days around essential priorities. Your life does not move forward by accident. It moves forward according to how you design your days. Most people let their days design them. They wake up and immediately react. Messages, requests, noise, urgency. By the time they realize the day is gone, their energy is spent, and nothing meaningful has been built. That is not a motivation problem. It is a design problem. If you do not decide what your day is about, everything else will decide for you. Attention will be pulled, energy will be scattered, and progress will feel random. Strategic thinkers reverse this. They design their days around what matters most, not what feels loudest. A strong day is not a full day. It is a focused one. You do not need to do more. You need to do less, on purpose. Identify the few priorities that actually move your life forward and organize your time around them. When everything is important, nothing is effective. When priorities are clear, decisions become lighter. Start by choosing your top 3 essentials, not tasks, outcomes. What must move forward today for this day to matter? Everything else is secondary. Everything else must fit around those priorities or be removed. This is how you reduce decision fatigue. When your mind is forced to choose all day long, it becomes tired and sloppy. Structure protects mental energy. It frees your mind to focus on execution instead of constant evaluation. Designing your day also means protecting your best hours. Your energy is not equal throughout the day. Strategic thinkers place their most important work where their focus is strongest. They do not waste peak energy on low-value tasks. When your day has structure, your mind feels safer. Predictability reduces stress. Clarity increases confidence. You are no longer scrambling. You are moving with intention. This does not mean rigidity. It means alignment. You are not forcing productivity. You are guiding it. When you design your days around essentials, consistency becomes easier. Momentum builds naturally, and over time, your life begins to reflect the structure you live by. Your days are the building blocks of your future. Design them wisely. Chapter 14. Master the discipline of the pause. The pause is one of the most underestimated tools you have. It looks simple. It feels small. But it is the difference between reaction and control, between impulse and intention, between repeating the past and choosing a different future. Most people never pause. They respond. They react. They move immediately. And then they live with the consequences. Strong thinkers pause. The pause is not hesitation. It is discipline. It is the space between stimulus and response where power lives. When something triggers you, emotionally, mentally, financially, socially, the urge is to act fast, to speak, to decide, to defend, to escape discomfort. That urge feels urgent, but urgency is not wisdom. The pause interrupts urgency. When you pause, even for a few seconds, you give your mind time to re-enter the situation. Without the pause, your nervous system is in control. With the pause, you are. This is why the pause is so effective. It shifts authority back to you. Most mistakes are not caused by lack of intelligence. They are caused by lack of pause. Think about how many decisions you regret were made quickly. A message sent in emotion. A purchase made to feel better. A yes given under pressure. A reaction that damaged trust. All of them could have been avoided with a pause. The pause creates perspective. It allows you to separate what you feel from what is actually happening. Feelings are information, not commands. The pause reminds you of that. This discipline must be trained. At first, pausing will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist it. It will tell you that you need to act now, that waiting is dangerous, that silence is weakness. But that resistance is proof that the pause is necessary. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you weaken old patterns. You teach your system that discomfort does not require collapse. Over time, your mind becomes calmer under pressure because it knows you will not abandon it to impulse. The pause is especially powerful in moments of temptation and conflict. Before responding, ask yourself one question. What does this moment require from me if I am thinking long-term? That question alone changes the direction of your choice. You do not need to pause forever. You need to pause long enough to choose deliberately. Even 5 seconds can prevent 5 years of regret. Master the pause, and you master your responses. Master your responses, and you master your direction. Chapter 15. Turn discomfort into direction. Discomfort is not your enemy. Avoidance is. Most people spend their lives trying to escape discomfort as quickly as possible. And in doing so, they teach their mind a dangerous lesson. That pressure is something to run from. Over time, this creates a pattern. The moment things feel difficult, unclear, or demanding, the mind looks for relief instead of direction. That is how progress stalls. Discomfort is information. It is feedback. It is the signal that something is asking you to grow, adjust, or strengthen. When you interpret discomfort as danger, you retreat. When you interpret it as data, you move forward with intelligence. Strong thinkers do not eliminate discomfort. They learn how to use it. Every meaningful step forward carries some level of unease. New responsibility, new standards, new expectations. Growth always disrupts familiarity. If you wait to feel comfortable before acting, you will wait forever. Comfort is a byproduct of repetition, not a requirement for action. The key is learning how to stay present inside discomfort without collapsing into reaction. Most people confuse discomfort with fear. Fear demands escape. Discomfort asks for engagement. The difference is subtle, but critical. Fear overwhelms. Discomfort challenges. And challenge is where capability is built. When you feel resistance, pause and ask yourself a better question. Not how do I get rid of this feeling, but what is this feeling pointing me toward? Often, the answer is clarity you have been avoiding, a decision you have delayed, a habit that needs to change, a standard that needs to rise. Discomfort shows you the edge of your current capacity. If you always retreat at that edge, your capacity never expands. But if you stay present, breathing, thinking, grounded, you train your nervous system to tolerate intensity without panic. Over time, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt intimidating becomes familiar. This is how confidence is built, not through affirmation, but through exposure, handled with awareness. Every time you face discomfort deliberately, you send a message to your mind. I can handle this. That message rewires your response to pressure. Instead of shrinking, you stabilize. Instead of avoiding, you engage. Instead of spinning, you move. Discomfort also reveals truth. It exposes misalignment. If something consistently drains you, frustrates you, or creates tension, there is information there. Either your approach needs adjustment, or your direction needs correction. Ignoring that signal keeps you stuck. Listening to it creates movement. Do not rush to numb discomfort. Do not distract yourself the moment intensity rises. Sit with it briefly. Observe it. Name it. Ask what it requires. Then act with intention. This does not mean forcing yourself through pain blindly. It means distinguishing between harmful pressure and constructive challenge. Strategic thinkers learn that difference. They do not glorify struggle. They use it. When discomfort becomes direction, you stop fearing it. You stop running. You start navigating. And navigation is what turns uncertainty into progress. Let discomfort guide you, not stop you. That is how growth becomes deliberate. Chapter 16. Remove the noise and strengthen your inner signal. Your life moves in the direction of the strongest signal inside you. The problem is, most people cannot hear their own signal anymore. It has been buried under noise, opinions, trends, expectations, endless information, constant stimulation. And when the noise is loud enough, it replaces thinking with reacting. Noise does not announce itself as a problem. It disguises itself as productivity, entertainment, connection, or staying informed. But if it does not help you think more clearly, decide more accurately, or act more intentionally, it is not support. It is interference. Strong thinkers understand one thing early. Clarity cannot exist in a crowded mind. Every input competes for your attention, and attention is not unlimited. When you give it away freely, your inner signal weakens. You begin to think in fragments. You feel rushed without knowing why. You lose confidence not because you are incapable, but because your thinking is constantly being pulled in different directions. Noise creates urgency. Urgency destroys judgment. Your inner signal is your values, your standards, your long-term direction. It speaks quietly. It does not shout. It does not compete. And if you are constantly consuming, scrolling, reacting, and absorbing other people's priorities, you will lose touch with it. This is how people end up chasing goals they do not care about, fighting battles that do not matter, and living lives that feel busy but empty. Removing noise is not about disconnecting from the world. It is about choosing what deserves access to your mind. Strategic thinkers are selective. They understand that not every opinion is useful, not every piece of information is necessary, and not every conversation deserves engagement. They ask different questions. Does this input improve my thinking? Does it sharpen my decisions? Does it support the person I am becoming? If the answer is no, it is noise, no matter how popular, interesting, or socially accepted it is. When you reduce noise, something powerful happens. Your thinking slows down, not in a weak way, but in a precise one. You stop reacting automatically. You begin to notice your own thoughts again, and that awareness strengthens your inner signal. Many emotional swings are not personal. They are borrowed. Borrowed anxiety, borrowed outrage, borrowed fear. When you constantly expose yourself to noise, you carry emotional weight that does not belong to you. Reducing input stabilizes emotion, and emotional stability improves decision-making. Silence is not empty. Silence is restorative. Stillness gives your mind room to process. It allows insight to surface. It reconnects you to your own reasoning instead of borrowed thinking. This is why some of the clearest decisions come when the noise fades. Early mornings, quiet moments, time away from constant input. Strong thinkers protect these spaces deliberately. Strengthening your inner signal also requires consistency. When you repeatedly choose clarity over stimulation, your mind adapts. Focus improves. Patience increases. Confidence becomes grounded instead of reactive. You stop needing constant validation because your direction is internal. This does not mean you ignore the world. It means you engage with it on your terms. You choose depth over volume, signal over static, direction over distraction. The world will always be loud. That will not change. But you do not need to let it live in your head. You decide what shapes your thinking. You decide what influences your choices, and that decision determines whether your life feels controlled or chaotic. When your inner signal is stronger than the noise, decisions become simpler. You stop second-guessing. You stop chasing. You stop reacting. You move with calm certainty because your thinking is no longer fragmented. Remove the noise, strengthen your inner signal, and move forward with clarity that does not depend on external approval. That is how you regain control of your direction. Chapter 17. Make decisions that hold up 5 years from now. Short-term relief is one of the most dangerous traps in life. It feels responsible. It feels practical. It feels like you are handling the situation. But most regret does not come from doing nothing. It comes from doing the wrong thing too quickly. Decisions made to calm anxiety today often become the weight you carry tomorrow. Strategic thinkers do not ask, "How do I feel right now?" They ask, "What does this decision turn into over time?" Most people think in moments. They react to pressure, discomfort, and urgency. When something feels heavy, they want it gone. When something feels uncertain, they want certainty now. So they choose speed over accuracy, relief over alignment, and then they wonder why the same problems keep resurfacing in new forms. Nothing repeats by accident. Patterns repeat because thinking does. When you train yourself to think 5 years ahead, your entire decision-making process changes. You stop being hypnotized by the present moment. You begin to see direction instead of emotion. You recognize that every decision is not just an action, but a vote for the person you are becoming. Every habit compounds. Every standard compounds. Every shortcut compounds. 5-year thinking forces you to confront consequence, not in a dramatic way, but in a sober one. It asks you to look beyond the immediate payoff and consider the long-term cost, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and structurally. Ask yourself this: if I repeat this decision consistently, where does it take me? If I keep responding this way under pressure, who do I become? If I keep spending my time, attention, and energy like this, what kind of life does it create? These questions are uncomfortable because they remove excuses. They expose self-deception. They cut through the story you tell yourself and reveal the trajectory underneath it. Long-term thinking is not pessimism. It is responsibility. It does not mean you become rigid or fearful. It means you become deliberate. You still adapt. You still adjust. But you do not abandon your direction every time discomfort appears. You do not sacrifice tomorrow just to feel better today. Most people confuse flexibility with inconsistency. Strategic thinkers understand the difference. Flexibility adapts within a structure. Inconsistency destroys the structure entirely. Decisions that hold up over time often feel boring in the moment. They rarely create excitement. They do not come with instant validation, but they create something far more valuable: stability. And stability is what allows momentum to build without collapse. Think about the people who seem calm under pressure, who do not rush, who do not panic, who do not jump from plan to plan. Their advantage is not talent, it is perspective. They are not optimizing the day, they are protecting the future. When you choose with 5 years in mind, you stop trading values for convenience. You stop lowering standards to avoid discomfort. You stop justifying actions that you know weaken you. Instead, you begin to respect your future self. And that respect changes how you move. You start saying no more easily. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing outcomes that do not align with who you are building. This kind of thinking also protects you from emotional decision-making. Emotions are temporary. Consequences are not. Strategic thinkers feel emotions fully, but they do not let emotions drive the wheel. They pause. They evaluate. They choose with foresight. Not every decision will be perfect. That is not the goal. The goal is to make decisions that do not collapse under time. Decisions you do not have to constantly fix. Decisions that build trust with yourself instead of eroding it. 5-year decisions build confidence differently. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The kind that comes from knowing you are moving in the right direction, even when progress feels slow. The kind that does not depend on external approval. Ask yourself honestly, will I respect this decision later? Will this choice make my life easier or harder to manage? Will it strengthen my discipline or weaken it? Time always tells the truth, and time is either working for you or against you based on the choices you repeat. You do not need to predict the future to think long-term. You only need to understand direction. Small choices, repeated daily, create outcomes that feel inevitable later. That inevitability can work in your favor or against you. Strategic thinkers choose in a way that lets time become an ally. You are not here to win today and lose tomorrow. You are here to build something that lasts, something that holds its shape under pressure, something that does not require constant repair. Think beyond the moment. Choose with foresight. Build with intention. Make decisions today that your future self will not have to recover from, but will thank you for. Here's the truth. Most people never face. You are not stuck because life is hard. You are stuck because your mind has been trained to react instead of lead. Most people spend their lives trying to fix the outside first. Better timing, better luck, better people, better opportunities. And they wonder why nothing truly changes. Why the same problems keep returning under different names. The truth is uncomfortable but simple. Real success does not come from working harder. It comes from thinking better. And if your mind is scattered, emotional, or constantly rushed, it will sabotage you quietly, consistently, and without warning. This audiobook is not here to motivate you. It is here to rewire you. not through hype, but through clarity, through structure, through the kind of thinking that holds up under pressure. You will learn how to stop reacting and start thinking deliberately, how to make fast, intelligent decisions without letting fear, noise, or emotion take control, how to cut distractions and build a mental foundation that does not collapse when life gets heavy. Because your mind is not just where thoughts appear. Your mind is a system, and whether you realize it or not, you are training it every day. Every thought you repeat strengthens a pathway. Your brain becomes efficient at whatever you practice most: worry or discipline, doubt or focus, avoidance or execution. Over time, you stop choosing. You start defaulting. That is how people lose years of their life. Not through one big mistake, but through thousands of unchecked thoughts. But here is the shift. Your attention is power. Whatever you feed grows. Feed noise, and chaos follows. Feed clarity, and strength forms. This audiobook is your reset, not to feel better, but to take control. One thought, one decision, one disciplined move at a time. Chapter 18. Become the person who outthinks the problem. Problems are not what stop people. Weak thinking does. Most challenges in life are not unbeatable. They are simply faced with the same mindset that created them. When your thinking does not change, your problems do not either. They just change shape. Strategic thinkers understand something most people miss. You do not overcome problems by force. You overcome them by becoming mentally stronger than the situation in front of you. Outthinking the problem does not mean avoiding it. It means refusing to let emotion, panic, or habit dictate your response. Most people lose clarity the moment pressure shows up. Their mind narrows. Their thinking speeds up. They rush to act just to feel in control. But action without clarity creates more problems, not fewer. The advantage belongs to the person who can slow down when others speed up. When you face a challenge, your first job is not to solve it. Your first job is to stabilize your thinking. Until your mind is clear, every move you make is compromised. Strategic thinkers know this, which is why they focus on their internal state before touching the external situation. Calm is not weakness. Calm is control. Once your thinking is steady, you can see the problem for what it is, not what fear exaggerates it to be. Most problems are smaller than they appear when viewed clearly. They only feel overwhelming because the mind is overloaded. Clarity reduces complexity. Outthinking the problem means asking better questions instead of reacting emotionally. What is actually happening here? What matters most right now? What is the next move that creates leverage instead of chaos? These questions shift you from victim mode into leadership. Strong thinkers do not try to solve everything at once. They isolate the core issue. They deal with one variable at a time. They understand that progress comes from precision, not urgency. Another key difference is responsibility. Outthinking the problem requires ownership, not blame, not excuses. Ownership gives you power. The moment you say, "This is mine to handle," your thinking sharpens. You stop waiting for circumstances to change and start adapting intelligently. Problems often repeat because the lesson was never learned. Until you upgrade your thinking, the same challenge will return. Different setting, same outcome. Strategic thinkers recognize patterns early. They remember what the last problem taught them and adjust before history repeats itself. This is how you stop cycling and start advancing. Outthinking the problem also means separating emotion from decision-making. Emotions are signals, not instructions. They tell you something matters, but they do not tell you what to do. If you let emotion lead, you will react. If you let thinking lead, you will respond. The strongest people feel deeply but act deliberately. As you practice this way of thinking, something changes. Problems stop feeling personal. You no longer see them as proof that you are failing. You see them as information, data, feedback. And feedback is useful. Every problem asks the same question. Have you grown enough to handle this level? If the answer is no, the solution is not frustration. It is development. You build the skill, the discipline, the clarity required to move forward. This is how confidence is built, not through success alone, but through repeated proof that you can think clearly under pressure. Outthinking problems also creates momentum. When you handle challenges calmly, you stop draining energy on panic and self-doubt. That energy gets redirected into execution. One clear decision leads to another. And soon, you are no longer stuck solving the same issues. You are moving past them. Over time, this becomes your identity. You become the person who does not break under pressure, the person who does not rush into mistakes, the person others trust, because your decisions are stable, not because life became easier, but because your thinking became stronger. This is the final shift. You stop trying to eliminate problems and start upgrading yourself. You stop asking why life is hard and start asking how you need to think differently. You stop hoping things will work out and start creating outcomes through clarity and discipline. You were never meant to outwork every challenge. You were meant to outthink your past self. Become the person who meets difficulty with structure, not chaos. With awareness, not reaction. With strategy, not panic. When your mind becomes stronger than the problem loses its power over you. That is how you finish the transformation. That is how you move forward permanently. That is how you win, one clear thought at a time. Chapter 19. Build a mind that does not collapse under pressure. Pressure is not the problem. Weak structure is. Life will always apply force. Deadlines, expectations, uncertainty, responsibility. What determines whether you rise or break is not how much pressure you face, but how prepared your mind is to carry it. Most people collapse under pressure because their thinking has no structure. When stress appears, their mind scatters. Emotions take control. Urgency replaces judgment, and they start making decisions just to escape the feeling instead of improving the situation. A strong mind does not eliminate pressure. It absorbs it. Mental strength is not aggression. It is stability. It is the ability to stay clear when things feel heavy, to remain grounded when outcomes are uncertain, and to continue moving deliberately when others panic. This kind of mind is built, not inherited. Pressure exposes whatever structure you already have. If your thinking is shallow, pressure reveals it. If your habits are weak, pressure magnifies them. If your discipline is inconsistent, pressure breaks it. This is why many people perform well when life is easy, but fall apart when things become demanding. Strategic thinkers prepare for pressure before it arrives. They build routines that do not depend on motivation. They create standards that do not change based on mood. They develop the habit of slowing their thinking when stress tries to speed it up. Over time, this creates a mental foundation that does not crack easily. A mind that does not collapse under pressure knows how to regulate itself. It recognizes stress without identifying with it. Stress becomes a signal, not a command. Information, not a threat. This starts with awareness. When pressure rises, notice what happens internally. Does your breathing change? Does your thinking narrow? Do you feel the urge to rush, avoid, or prove something. Awareness interrupts the spiral. You cannot control what you do not see. Once you see it, you can stabilize it. Stability comes from repetition. The more often you choose clarity under pressure, the more your nervous system learns that intensity does not equal danger. Over time, your baseline changes. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once caused panic becomes familiar. This is how confidence is built, not through comfort, but through controlled exposure. A pressure-resistant mind also understands limits. It does not try to carry everything at once. It prioritizes. It simplifies. It focuses on the next effective move instead of the entire problem. Complexity shrinks when attention is directed. Strong thinkers ask, what is within my control right now? What actually matters in this moment? What is the next step that creates stability? These questions prevent mental overload. They turn chaos into sequence. Another key is identity. People who collapse under pressure often see pressure as a personal judgment, proof they are failing, behind, or inadequate. Strategic thinkers see pressure as a signal of growth. Responsibility expands before capability catches up. Pressure means something is being asked of you that you are still becoming strong enough to handle. That perspective changes everything. Instead of self-attack, you focus on development. Instead of panic, you focus on preparation. Instead of escape, you focus on execution. A strong mind also recovers quickly. It does not dwell. It does not spiral after mistakes. It extracts the lesson and resets. Recovery speed matters more than perfection. The faster you return to clarity, the less damage pressure can do. Over time, this way of thinking becomes your default. You stop fearing pressure. You trust yourself inside it. You know you will not abandon discipline when things get uncomfortable. That trust creates calm. Calm creates precision. Precision creates progress. You are not meant to live without pressure. You are meant to be strong enough to carry it. Build the structure now, before life demands it. Train your mind to stay clear when it would be easier to collapse. Because when pressure arrives, and it will, the mind you have built will determine the outcome. Strength is not the absence of stress. Strength is clarity inside it. That is how you become unshakable. That is how you move forward when others break. That is how you win under pressure. If something you heard today shifted your perspective, help it reach one more person who's ready for change. And if you want to keep growing with us, subscribe. This space will be here when you need it.